believe people can hear us, but I'm gonna. Hello, everyone. Uh-oh. Ah! Wrong one. There we go. It couldn't be perfect.
One day. We'd get there eventually.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hey, I'll let you hold the microphone. You did such a good job of that last week.
I'm in the middle, so... equidistant, I guess.
Oh, God. Like, where do we even begin, y'all? Well, I'll go ahead and... Oh, first off, I'm Lonnie.
Clockwork Calamity.
And I'm Ashley.
We're Untitled Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local state Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're here with the live recap, spoiler-filled recap of Season 8, Episode 3 of Game of Thrones, The Battle of Winterfell. If you don't want this episode spoiled, leave now or forever hold your peace.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of pieces being held tonight. Whew, holy crap. Tonight was hour-and-a-half episode.
It didn't feel like it at all.
Mm-mm.
At all.
Have you ever had a panic attack for an hour and a half and then found out that you really didn't have any reason to?
Yeah, and like I'll tell you, I was sitting here looking while we were watching. I noticed about 5 minutes in because it was about a 10-minute preamble to the fight, to the big battle, and then the battle lasted all of maybe the last 3 minutes of the episode. So the entire thing was just battle with a couple of little solo parts scattered here and there. But this was like, I noticed 5 minutes in, my heart was like boom, 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 boom. 5 minutes before the end of the episode, my heart was boom, 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 boom.
I know
boom.
it didn't stop.
And it never slowed down, like not for a second. So anyway, yeah, Phil. Everybody, if you want, hop into the chat, talk to us, give your thoughts on the show. So I'm going to kind of like pass it off to y'all. What do y'all think about this episode? This was just balls to the wall action from start to finish.
Oh, hell yeah. I love episodes like these. They're my favorite. Yeah, just like you said, nonstop from start to finish. It was just exciting. And I was expecting a lot more jump scares, and there weren't, which I was grateful for, because I don't like them. So...
Ample opportunities.
Yeah. There were, yeah.
That's really what I have to say about this episode. It occurred to me that I haven't really been breathing properly this whole time.
Yeah. It's like everybody needs to just take a really big deep breath in. And then out.
I'm watching the chat here on the tablet, and we got Steven in the chat who says, "First episode I've ever watched all the way through. Don't know exactly what was happening, but wow."
Wow.
he had a hell of an episode to jump in on, man.
Oh my
God.
I mean, it would still be entertaining even if you didn't really know what was going on. It would be probably easier to watch if you didn't know what was going on, instead of like, oh my God, they can't die like that. Oh my God, they can't die that way. Like, no, Arya's not gonna die getting her neck snapped by the Night King. What?
Yeah.
It's like for this is the first episode of the season that I've sat down and made like a sheet of notes as the episode was going on, because we watched it like totally in the dark with just the TV on, and I'm sitting here like trying to write, and I don't know if anybody can like see my writing there, but it's like, it looks like caveman jargon. And then on top of that, we've got the chat, so I'm kind of busy over here in like my own little personal space. So
it's organized.
Yeah, I tried. I guess first off, how do you pronounce her name? Melisandre.
Mm-hmm.
She showed up at the very beginning and really helped out for this episode. This was the kind of thing where she didn't really win the battle, but she kept everybody going long enough to win the battle.
So that Arya could finish it.
Spoiler alert, they did win. It was... They lost a lot of people, and I'll go ahead and take like the very beginning of this episode where they're waiting, and like basically the entirety of the Dothraki army on horseback. She comes in, lights all of their swords on fire with like the Lord of Light power. All the Dothraki charge off into the darkness. It's nighttime. They charge off. They see everybody in Winterfell is watching off in the distance, and just suddenly they all start going out. All of the swords just... Finally, there's like 2 or 3 left, and then it's black. Then all of the Night King's army just rushes at Winterfell.
It was probably like 30, White Walkers to one Winterfell
easily
soldier.
Easily.
They were ridiculously
it was like
outnumbered.
If you've ever seen World War Z, I felt like that. I felt like watching the zombie hordes like swarm.
Yeah.
And we will give some kind of background here. Basically, the Night King, who was the White Walker on the dragon, this is specifically for Steven and anybody else who may not have watched Game of Thrones and doesn't know what the hell's happening. The Night King, the main guy on the dragon, he was basically trying to get to Bran Stark to kill him and basically wipe out all of Westeros history, because Bran, the dude in the wheelchair, is the three-eyed raven who basically has all past, present, and future history in his mind. So the Night King is trying to get to him first and foremost to kill him, because he's the biggest threat to the Night King and the White Walkers. We don't know really. The White Walkers came from the north. Realistically, there's no way I can sit here in less than an hour and tell you a full background on Game of Thrones. It just can't happen. Like, that's about as good as I can do right now without like totally getting sidetracked. I would, if you haven't watched this series, seriously start from episode 1 of season 1 and just watch it. That's the only. A lot of other shows you could sit down and be like, oh yeah, this happened, this is the main point. But at any given point during Game of Thrones, there's about half a dozen stories.
Story arcs.
There's so many.
And they're all great. It's not like, okay, you can watch seasons 1, 2, and then skip 3 because it wasn't that good. You can't do that. They're all great.
And they're all important.
They're all important.
Yeah, let's say if you're watching season 1, season 2, and then you get to season 3, and you're like, oh, I'm going to skip 2 episodes. You're derailed at that point. You have to watch every individual episode. There's zero filler. Every scene of every episode through 8 seasons adds something.
Yep.
Because if you miss one scene in one episode of season 3, sometime around season 5, you're going to be like, well, why the hell did this happen? Yeah. And it's because of that one scene that you missed back in season 3, and you have no clue you have to pay attention all the way through. It's crazy. So, but yeah, hey Jessica, I'm glad we could at least help a little bit, Stephen. Elizabeth Garland is in the chat, says, whoa. That's what happened tonight.
Yeah. Whoa. That pretty well sums up the episode. Whoa.
So the Dothrakis got their asses handed to them by the White Walkers.
R.I.P. The entire Dothraki race.
Pretty much.
I'm sure, surely that's not everybody. I mean, I say it's the entirety of the Dothraki army, but...
No, the entire army, sure.
I think there were more. So... Everybody went to the crypts. Arya gave Sansa her dagger, which was made of dragon glass, which ended up not coming into play.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That was obviously for a reason. We just haven't seen.
The Ice Dragon came in, kicked ass and take names. Gail in the chat says, can't stop screaming. By the way, hi. Stop screaming just long enough to say hello. I thought it was pretty cool how they set... Melisandre set fire. She was the one that set fire. She gave them basically a fiery border around. And everything that she did added just a few precious minutes.
Yep.
And because, seriously, everything that happened in this battle, all the way up to the ending, was timed perfectly.
Yeah.
Just...
they were so ridiculously outnumbered. They weren't, they were barely fighting. They were just stalling, basically.
Yeah.
For Arya to do
surviving, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm honestly amazed that we made it through that much battle with so few major characters hurt or killed.
Oh yeah.
Basically,
everybody got hurt, but
we had like 4 named characters die in this episode. We had the young girl who was
Lyanna Mormont.
Yeah, Mormont. She was like the head of the Mormont house. She died, which was a pretty kick-ass death. She actually
took out a freaking giant.
Oh yeah,
yes.
She's a badass.
It showed her full scale, like with the giant, so you could see the size difference.
Yeah, the giant is holding her like this.
He like crushed her chest.
Yeah, and with her final blow, she takes a dragonglass dagger and stabs him through the eye, and he collapses.
He had already crushed her rib cage at that point too.
Stephen, we will give kind of overall score
rating
to the episode and everything towards the end of the review, so just sit tight. Russ says all he can think of is the South Park episode of Game of Thrones, which I've never seen.
I haven't either.
Or maybe that's the Game of Thrones episode of South Park, is what he means.
Probably.
Arya's a beast. We'll get to that here in just a minute.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I put on here Tyrion, Sansa, I thought it said Mormont. It was Moment. In the crypts, they thought they were going to die.
Yeah.
Because everybody's favorite, we actually talked about it during the preview before the episode, the corpses did come alive in the crypt. It didn't really, they killed a few people, but they didn't really, that wasn't really the danger. It seemed like it, once you had like this moment where Sansa and Tyrion, who were married back in like season 4, I think.
Long time ago.
Yeah, they were married just as a sick joke by Joffrey the king at the time. You could tell they kind of had made their peace. They kind of could see something between them a little bit. You know, they were like, oh, you know what could have been, and all that good stuff. But I honestly thought that was going to be it for them. I thought that they were going to...
Once they held hands...
Yeah. That seemed like, holy shit, we're going to die.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that's what they thought.
Yeah.
I'm honestly a little disappointed in the way that went, because Sansa was all like offended that they even sent her to the crypt in the first place.
Right.
I can't abandon my people. I can't abandon my people. Here they are getting torn to shreds by zombies, and I'm gonna hide.
Yeah. And Tyrion, you know, he was talking about, we need to get up there because we need to make it different.
Yeah. They were both talking all this
hiding.
shit, and they were both hiding.
Yeah.
And right when it seemed like they were finally gonna go and like help out and help their people, then I guess everything was over.
Took care of it. I don't know.
Shonda's in the chat says, so hi, I just finished watching, and the new War for the Throne isn't going to go well. Love the cat checking things out behind you.
Yeah.
That is Freya. We have 2 cats here. Freya, she's long hair, and then Loki, he's the shorter hair bobtail that looks like a short hair version of her with no tail.
Pretty much.
Okay, so Sharon's listening on the way home. Again, thank you for joining us, everybody. We got a pretty solid crowd tonight. The Battle of Winterfell. This is the biggest episode to this point in the series.
Yep, absolutely.
So Bran and Theon make peace.
Yeah.
Bran, in the final moments, basically tells him, hey, you're a good guy. Thank you for what you've done. Theon dies, saving him from the Night King. Theon went toe-to-toe with the Night King.
Did not go well for him.
Died. Well, still, it didn't go well. But...
he got his redemption.
He was fully redeemed.
Yeah.
That man has nothing to prove. He died a hero. He took out a small army
by himself,
of White Walkers
basically.
By himself. They actually showed the aftermath. He's standing above what I would say is about 3 dozen corpses.
At least.
I couldn't take 2 of them. I'll just say.
Yeah, plus, when he was running up to him to stab him and stuff, that was even more, like you said, the precious time, that they needed for their plan to be successful. That worked.
Yeah.
Gail is in the chat. Welcome to the chat, by the way. I wanted to know, why did they think that the Ice King couldn't raise the dead in the crypt? I don't think anybody really put 2 and 2 together on that. I think that was really the safest place. And I'm thinking that maybe they had the idea that the Night King needed like a straight line of sight or something. Maybe they wasn't thinking, hey, he can resurrect the dead underground.
I didn't know that either, to be honest with you. I thought he had to have a line of sight, but I guess not.
I'll go ahead and tell
Not
you.
that it matters now.
If it wasn't for the online theories, I never would have. That would have been a total surprise to me when that happened. But, you know, the internet gives you that foresight. Yeah, 50-50
what the
chance.
range on his abilities were. Because in theory, like, I mean, there's crypts everywhere.
Yeah.
That's true.
So the walkers broke through, and it really looked hopeless for about the second half of the episode. It looked hopeless from the very beginning of this episode because they were just getting their asses kicked left and right. The Hound, Clegon, he was afraid the whole time up until about the last third of the episode, and he helped Arya. Him and I don't know the guys. Let's go through the body count. The young girl.
You're missing a really, really big one.
I know. Her, the dude, I don't know his name, but the guy with the eye patch that dies all the time.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name either.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, that guy. I don't know his name.
He's one of the Night's Watch. That's...
Yeah, the dude is the Night's Watch.
We're looking
he was the first one to die, actually.
Yeah, he was the first one to go.
The guy with the Lord of Light sword.
Yeah, the guy with the eye patch and the flaming sword, he died. I don't know his name, but everybody kind of figured he was going to die. Theon died, and Jorah Mormont, right at the end of the episode, died saving Daenerys. His story came full circle. That was really amazing. I loved. I didn't know if Jorah was going to make it or not, but it was fitting, so fitting that he was there for her since day one, and even when she banished him, he still came back to serve her. And so he had. I think Jorah Mormont really, in my opinion, is one of the best stories of Game of Thrones. He had grayscale. He's the one who brought, Sam back. He's the one who, he was banished from home. He wanted to. He didn't think he could redeem himself because he was like a slave trader. I think he was a spy on Daenerys, even though he did come to love her, basically. Barrack is Shauna says Barrack is his name. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Tina said I thought for sure we'd see Ned Stark busting out of the tomb.
Oh, yeah.
I would have. I don't think
headless and everything.
It's been long enough. I don't think you'd be able to tell it was him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before.
Yeah.
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for raising the dead, but not that we're going to actually be able to recognize any of these people.
Oh,
yeah, that was a good point.
Holy! Shauna says Dragonfire couldn't kill the Night King, so does that mean he was a Targaryen?
Ooh.
Touche! Oh, interesting. That is why we have the chat.
Right?
I don't know. That's a good theory, though.
Joseph is in the chat. He says, Jesus Christ, that ending.
I know. Same, though.
The Night King may have been a Targaryen. I'm going to go ahead and put my money and say he was. Ancient Targaryen from way back in the day.
Maybe.
Let's see. The little girl kills the giant. Arya was running. That was a pretty... y'all likened it to the Velociraptor scene in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
That was brilliant.
The kitchen Velociraptor scene, it felt like that.
Yes, it did. I was just expecting, us to have a zoomed in shot of Arya and then one come from off screen,
Yeah, that was way too quiet.
Big old jump scare.
I just had to keep telling myself, like, there's no way this is how Arya dies.
It didn't need to be loud, though. We were still, like, on the edge of our seat over here.
The only thing I could hear was my heart beating. Boom, 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 boom. Which it is. I don't know if that was real healthy. I don't think I could do that every Sunday.
Right. I have to say I like style points to Arya for rolling across the top of a horde of the dead.
Yeah, she's like, fuck the stairs.
Fuck the stairs, I'm gonna roll on top of these
down
guys.
these curse.
Yeah, I never did. Like, Elizabeth Garland's in the chat says he could ride a dragon and wasn't burned. So, yeah, the Night King, he fits all of the prerequisites that you have to be a Targaryen.
Well, there was a scene where they were in this cave looking at, like, the first men, and the White Walkers were there and stuff. And wasn't that was on the island where they got the dragon glass, right?
What was it now?
There's a time when, was it Jon and Daenerys? They were in this cave and they see these cave paintings.
Yes.
And it had like the first men.
Yep.
And the Night King was in a drawing.
Okay, I don't remember a ton of details about that, but yes, I do remember the scene.
I believe that was where the Targaryens came from. I can't remember. Dragonstone, is that the name of the place?
Yes.
Where they got all the dragon glass? So, that would make sense if they knew about him, like, back in their ancient times.
Dylan said what happened at the end with the Red Woman. Yeah, there was revealed, I think, around season 3 or 4, that Melisandre, the Red Priestess, that necklace that she had, anytime she took it off, she was actually a really old woman, and that magic was keeping her young, and so I think she had aged to the point that once she took the necklace off now, she was just going to die because it was the only thing keeping her alive, and once her watch had ended, she took it off and just walked out and died.
Lord of the Light lost everybody today.
Yeah, the Lord of the Light came through, didn't it?
Lord of the Light came through, and he has no followers left.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because the only other one besides her was the dude with the flaming sword, and he swore by the Lord of the Light.
No, they were right, though.
Clearly the only effective one.
God. They wouldn't have been able to defeat the Night King without them, though.
No, they wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to, like, I truly, in my heart of hearts, thought Melisandre was going to show up with all of her other Red Priestesses and do some, like, badass battling. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
Shauna says that episode where the Red Woman took her necklace off back when I threw it in my mouth. And I'm thinking, Stannis Baratheon is thinking, doesn't matter, had sex,
Yeah, no kidding.
She didn't look old when that happened.
Yep.
That's true.
There was a scene where where she was like, I can give you an heir, and they just did it right there on the map table.
Yep.
I was like, wow, that's like, at that point, to me, that was like the hottest scene in Game of Thrones.
The first episode of Game of Thrones I ever saw was the episode where Melisandre birthed the smoke demon.
Oh, God.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. I was real confused.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck is going on in this show? Start from episode 1.
It said Khaleesi still has 2 dragons. I don't know.
Yeah, she does.
It
showed both of them in the preview.
Okay, because that other dragon got messed up. I was worried for him.
He got real messed up, but they would have shown if he actually died, I think.
So, Melisandre and Arya meeting, that was pretty cool because, they were like, oh, I said I'd see you again, and I did. And that was pretty cool. The crypt resurrection happened. Jorah saved Daenerys. That was pretty cool. So we get to the final part. And Theon basically delays the inevitable. The Night King finally gets up face to face with Bran, sitting there staring at each other. Honest to God, I thought the episode was going to end.
Me too.
And we were going to have to wait till next freaking week to see that. But as soon as the Night King reaches back to get his sword, out of nowhere, out of the fog, Arya jumps up, grabs hold of him, and is just about to stab him. He grabs her. She drops the dragonglass dagger, and as it falls, she grabs it and stabs him in the stomach. He dies. The entire army dies. Ta-da! We won.
You know what was even cooler about that is when she was running up to the Night King to kill him. I'm assuming she's probably right-handed, or whatever her dominant hand is, she's gonna stab the Night King, right? For me, I'm right-handed, so I'll use that. So he grabs her by the neck. She has to drop the sword, catch it with her other hand, her non-dominant hand, and then stab him. So she killed him with her non-dominant hand. That's pretty badass.
Arya's a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
My favorite
really
character.
Is. Yeah, definitely.
List of the confirmed dead. These are the 5. We got Beric, who was from the Night's Watch. We have the young Mormont girl, who was the head of House Mormont. The dude that was we have Melisandre, the Red Priestess. She died. The Night King, the dude with the eye patch and the flaming sword that had died multiple times. He's dead.
I thought that one was Beric.
Theon Greyjoy, he died, and Jorah Mormont died saving Daenerys. So those are the confirmed dead. Everybody else, as far as I know, is still alive. They made it a point at the end of this episode to show everybody.
Yeah.
Jaime Lannister's still alive.
Brienne.
Brienne.
We thought
Brienne lived.
She was as good as dead 2 hours ago.
Right.
Joseph said Daenerys screwed it up by taking off on the dragon and not waiting for the Night King. Yeah.
It was out.
It was necessary though. Like if she had not started burning the army of the dead when she did, like I don't think the rest of the army would have held.
Winterfell wouldn't have held.
Everything that happened in this episode was a prime example of everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, one thing, if somebody would have done something a little bit different, Bran Stark could have died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the entire battle was to keep him safe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
even though he somehow managed to be alone with only Theon and nobody seemed to notice. But anyway.
I mean, I'll go ahead and tell y'all, since we found out that the Night King is immune to dragonfire, I really think that she had to screw the plan up. Because they were like, you know, Joseph said if she hadn't have screwed that up, the plan was solid. Yeah, but like I'm saying, everything happened for a reason. I honest to God think that if the plan would have gone according to plan, that things wouldn't have happened the way they had, and the Night King would have figured out a way to kill Bran Stark.
Yep.
It just, everything happened the way it did. There had to be a screw up in the plan for it to work.
And I'm sure Bran saw that too.
Oh yeah, well, Bran knows everything. He's a three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our videos. We have to have a technical difficulty for it to be a video.
Right.
So it's good to know we have something in common with the survivors in Game of Thrones.
Oh wow.
That's a stretch, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else did look screwed. So yeah, I think we all figured that the episode was going to end with zero closure, and the Night King. That's a whole other. I don't even know what that was.
It's the adult spoof.
Okay, so talking about this episode, number one, did it live up to expectations? Number two, what's your rating? Number three, does this qualify as the best Game of Thrones episode ever?
Ooh, those are a lot of questions.
Yep. Did it live up to your... Okay, real quick. I'll Ashley, did it live up to your expectations?
Oh, hell yeah. This was a great episode. I loved it.
Best episode ever?
I don't know. I feel like if I really sit down and think about it, I could probably pick an episode I liked better. You know, for other reasons, character I like, you know, whatever. This was kind of like the Infinity War of Game of Thrones, where everybody comes together in this one big epic battle.
Yep.
I'd say it was probably the episode that I was on the edge of my seat for the most. Most action-packed. It was a long episode, but didn't feel like it. So I give it a solid 11 out of 10.
Okay, so you give it an all-star 11. Just for those of you who know, 1 to 10, typical 1 to 10 scale. And 11 is that episode that goes above and beyond everything. It's like, it's a 10, but it's one of those like game changers that is like just one of the all-time greats that you could just go right back and watch it over again immediately. So so did it live up to expectations?
I tried not to have too many expectations because I was just trying to mentally prepare to be really, really upset, and I wasn't.
Jasper asked, Jon Snow die? Jon Snow lived.
Jon Snow lived. Yeah. He was about to get roasted by the dragon that the Night King had taken over, but...
Arya saved the day!
Arya saved the day. Yeah, he was about to face that thing head on, and it was like rearing up to torch him, and he just crumbled into a pile.
That was great.
Yeah. It was a really nice, dramatic dragon scene, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Expectations and rating. The fact that I don't know what to say about it, I'm gonna give it at least a 10 because you expected important people to die.
Yeah.
And they threw you a curveball by not doing that.
Okay.
But you're still on the edge of your seat, like no, like the whole time. Like I don't audibly yell at the TV very often, but they can tell you I was yelling at the TV quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, Elizabeth wanted to know, did the head of the Unsullied die? No, Grey Worm is still alive.
Grey Worm is still alive. Yeah.
I'm saying nobody
that we expected to die died.
Nobody in the core story besides
The ones we already named, yeah.
Jorah Mormont, the Night King, and Theon were like the ones that we followed since the beginning.
I'm quite honestly surprised Davos made it through.
Yeah. I'm telling you, a lot of these people still have a part to play at the King's Landing deal.
That's true.
Okay. So, best episode ever?
I'm not going to say best episode ever, but it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up there.
Okay, so for me, it did live up to expectations. It was a 90-minute episode, and it felt like it was about a 15-minute episode.
Yeah.
My heart was beating out of my chest. That was before the energy drink, to the point where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to end up having some kind of anxiety attack. And I don't have anxiety attacks, so imagine that. 11 out of 10, definitely. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this was the best episode. I don't even have to think about it. Now, here's a real quick one. This is just for Ashley, because you haven't seen it yet. This one, this is like crappy weekend for everybody's favorite characters. Endgame or this episode?
Oh, Endgame.
Oh, man. I'm having I don't know if I can pick. I loved Endgame, but this episode was something else.
Yeah, it goes Endgame, Game of Thrones, then The Orville, as far as what we've watched this week.
Okay. See, I would think that mine is actually Game of Thrones Endgame, The Orville. So.
Wow, you liked this episode better than you liked Endgame?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's close, but
That
I did.
surprises me.
Endgame had a lot of slow parts towards the beginning and stuff, and this episode was just balls to the wall from the beginning to the very end.
That's true. That's a good point.
It kept me in. Yeah. So yeah, everybody's in the chat is just going crazy over it. Shauna headed to bed. Thank you for coming by. If anybody's heading out, thanks for coming by and hanging out with us tonight. We're actually getting pretty close wrapping up. And if you have seen Endgame, remember we do have a review that we did live Thursday night right after we went and saw it. Let's see, is there anything else to talk about? I guess predictions for next week. And I guess if we're all going to be getting together next week for that Game of Thrones episode, it's going to be another hour-and-a-half episode. We may do a preview before that, but I want to talk about just what we saw. There was a preview about 15 seconds for next week. We are going to be going to King's Landing. It looks like everybody's going to be showing up. Cersei, like Daenerys, is basically saying, okay, we're done. We're going after the throne now. She didn't waste any time.
No, she did not.
Like, people aren't even getting a chance to grieve the dead and lick their wounds. They're heading to King's Landing. And I'm not 100% sure that they have the people to do it now. It's almost like...
They got the gumption, that's for sure.
They got the dragons.
Yeah. I don't know. After watching them take down, or how they did against the Army of the Dead, where they had no chance whatsoever, I think this is going to be easy. Clegane Bowl 2019. I'm so excited about that.
We're already halfway through season 8. Yeah. 3 episodes down, 3 more to go. What in the hell can happen?
Isn't there 8 episodes?
6.
Oh, there's 6. Holy
Hate
cow.
to be the bearer of bad news.
Man, I was sitting here thinking we have 5 more to go. We only have 3.
I was gonna say, Joseph, if you have a question, just type it in the chat. Don't say you have a question. Just ask. I promise we'll answer it if we're not done before you get it out there. But yeah, it's like 6 episodes halfway through. I think the next 2 are going to be hour-and-a-half episodes, and then I think episode 6 is going to be it's going to be longer than an hour, but it's not going to be an hour and a half, like hour 15, something like that.
So, what are your predictions for the next 3 episodes? 1 episode to do what? 1 episode to do what? And then the finale is going to be like what? I
think next episode going to be just getting ready for the battle. I think episode 5, in true Game of Thrones fashion, typically the next to last episode of the season, is the big money episode. I think that's going to be the Battle of King's Landing, and I think the final episode is going to tie up a lot of loose ends.
Cool.
That's my opinion. I agree with that. I think the cliffhanger for next episode is going to have us, throwing the tablet through the TV.
Yeah, probably.
Type angry. I think we're gonna be like, no, we have to see next episode. So
See,
yeah,
that's the only reason why I didn't rate this episode higher, is because I'm content with where it ended. I like it when it makes me angry.
You wanted to be madder about it.
I wanted to have stronger feelings about it.
if we would have had a hardcore cliffhanger on this one, I would have been so pissed.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just happy that they gave us a good, solid, hey, this is what happened. Catch your breath. We'll see you next week. Ending.
Yeah.
Definitely. Joseph asked, am I going to be in Super Troopers 3? Kiss my ass, Joseph. Okay.
Lonnie Farva reporting for duty.
Yeah, I'm
no idea
keeping a
what's
beard.
happening
I'm not doing the creepy mustache look. So, I think we've pretty well covered everything. Next week gonna be pretty solid. I guess we'll be on about 15 minutes before the end of the before the beginning of the show. Probably about 8:45, 8:40, something like that next week. For like a little preview, like we did today, talking about it and everything. So, yeah, crap. I guess if y'all have anything?
I'm good.
I think, yeah.
Good.
It's
I
a
can't
nice,
believe we
tidy
were able to
well.
get all. Just had to sit here. Well, this isn't like this review, this live recap, wasn't the needed support group like I thought we were gonna need.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly
it was
thought
a nice, tidy, well packaged episode.
Yeah.
It's like everything. I'm content with how everything went.
I honestly, at the very beginning of this review, thought I was, at the beginning of this episode, I thought we were going to start the review me being like, oh, I'm Lonnie with Untitled Network.
Well, my prediction came true, and I didn't cry, so there's that.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think Game of Thrones is going to give us a reason to cry before it's all over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
I think
There's a lot of important characters left.
I expect to cry sometime in the season. I just didn't think it would be tonight, and it wasn't. So.
And I didn't. Here's one like very loose dangling plot thread that I think is probably going to get wrapped up in episode 5, and that is the fact that Cersei has paid Bronn a shit ton of money and a castle to go kill Jaime and Tyrion.
He likes both of them so much.
Honestly, I think only one of them are going to die. And I think the other, whoever survives that, is going to kill Cersei.
Okay.
Realistically, I think that Bronn is going to kill Jaime. And because of the history that he has with Tyrion, that dates back to season 1, I think. Maybe season 2.
I don't know if Bronn has it in him to kill either of them, or if he would just like fuck off with a crossbow and live his life happily ever after wherever he wants.
Yeah, the thing is his loyalty to gold stronger
Yes.
than his loyalty to his friends?
Well, his loyalty to his friends and to gold are both higher than his loyalty to Cersei.
Yeah. Now I think
Cersei will get the Iron Throne, and then that's how it ends.
No!
Oh, what the hell?
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to.
She just
What's
wanted
that?
to piss us off.
Purposely troll y'all.
God.
I do feel a little trolled by this episode, actually.
A little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do recall that there was basically some wording that was going around the internet earlier this week, and I had forgotten about it. But there was a scene back in, I think, season 2 or season 3. It was when Bronn was basically the right hand man of Tyrion, when Tyrion was the hand of the king, and he was running with, where basically Tyrion told Bronn, "Hey, if anybody ever pays you to kill me, I'll double it for you to keep me alive." And I'm sure he'll remember that.
I didn't remember that at all.
There's no telling what kind of status, once they win the war, what kind of status Tyrion could bestow upon Bronn. He could get his castle. He could have a whole freaking hold.
I bet he gives him exactly the one that he was talking about wanting to live in.
Yep.
Because I remember like they had this detailed conversation about how he wanted to like be away from King's Landing and all that, and there was a certain castle that he wanted to live in. I bet Tyrion makes it happen.
Yep.
Joseph said that this episode could have been the series ending. It very well could have. And Elizabeth wants to know, where did Bran go during the episode?
Bran?
Yeah,
Bran
Bran
or
was
Bronn?
Bran.
He was just sitting by the tree in his wheelchair.
There's if you look like at a map of Winterfell, you have Winterfell proper, the big walled in area, and then there's kind of like a little wing,
little courtyard,
a walled in courtyard off to the side where like the big tree is, and the tree never did anything.
No.
Yeah, that was one of those predictions that we all kind of had.
Maybe she meant where did he go in his mind? Because it showed him going into the Ravens.
He was in the Ravens.
And then he never came back.
Yeah, I'm sure he was just kind of keeping an eye on everything.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap. I don't want to keep everybody any later because this was a late episode, and we have gone a good 40 minutes. So.
God, again, didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Huh?
It didn't feel like it.
No, this was a very major recap. Thank you, everybody, for coming on, hanging out with us tonight. It's been fun. We'll see you in 7 days. This, I think, next Game of Thrones is going to be the only recap we're doing this week. Game of Thrones right now is all that's on. So, no Walking Dead, no Orville, nothing else. So, anyway, we'll see everybody 7 days. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Clockwork Calamity.
And I'm Ashley.
We are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local Satanist at Chattanooga, Tennessee. See everybody in 7 days for episode 4 of Game of Thrones.